I'm out there trying to decide
Okay,
between
folks.
Esther and
Yeah.
Got lots going on there.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised when they get the ballot.
Yeah. I
Okay,
bet.
welcome all
right
of the
for me.
guests,
I mean,
and
obviously,
we have
Right.
lots of
Yeah.
candidates
Well,
out
Joe,
there.
good to meet you.
Some
Thank
of
you.
them will be speaking to you tonight. Some of them are.
Can I sit with you guys?
Taking a moment to talk with you and
We would be honored.
I am honored to be here.
and carry on with their campaigns. So we'll start with the announcement. The main announcement is if you have any of the Prop 55 forms, I think you've already left those at the door. That's great. So
like your
let's
glasses.
move on with the
Very
Pledge
colorful.
of Allegiance.
Like 'em.
And Walt is way back there tonight, so if you'll please lead us in the pledge.
Flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, now before we get to our consent items, I want to review with you the treasurer's report. We're doing very well, and Ken is the one that keeps all of this up to date on a daily basis. And for reporting, we report out the end of the previous month.
Yeah.
So currently our balance
You
is
can use one.
well, not currently, at the end of the last month. Our balance was a little over 58,000.
Okay.
And then at the end of February, it was a little over 62,000. We had some deposits of almost 6,000, and we only spent a little over 1,000. But now we're gearing up because we, as you see, we have a whole field team going on here, so we have lots of things that we're going to be doing. So for the consent item, it looks like we've got a quorum out there.
Labor Federation.
The meetings, Janice, where she moved on me, but she is our secretary. She has our minutes. And then
just generally just learn more about
let's
CTA.
see, the treasurer's report we saw, and the board is recommending $5,000 to go to our great fundraising team. They buy all that merch out there, then they sell it to us, and we make money. And then the board is recommending $20,000 to the field team. And as you can see, they are getting going, and it's for all of the printing and all of the materials for the next election that's coming up, and we'll see how far that takes us. But I know that Louise does a really good job of budgeting and making sure that there is enough. So do I have a motion to accept our consent calendar? So,
and have you been a part of the union all that time?
Okay,
very cool.
Gary seconds it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Here we go.
It never stops. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on to our candidates for this evening, and I'm going to send it over to Judy, who's going to introduce each of these folks. They're going to speak. We're going to start with Chris Kluwe. He's going to speak for 5 minutes. Then you have an opportunity to ask questions, and the same with the rest of the candidates. If you would like to ask any questions tonight of the candidates, if you will see where Gustavo is standing, if you will begin to make a line over there, and however much time we have, then you can ask a question. 2 caveats. No narratives, just please ask your question. And number 2, if you have asked questions in the past, could you kindly let other people who have not done that in the past, so we can kind of get in some engagement from a large group of people. So I'm going to turn it over to Judy and have her, look out there. Okay, there we go. Take it away.
Hello, is it on? There we go.
And you have to hold it parallel.
Sorry.
No, just put it down here.
Hi, everyone. I am.
No,
I have no idea why. Okay, use the other one. Same thing? Yes. Hi, everyone. Yay! I think I'm afraid of these things, actually. Anyway, this, no? What the heck?
Don't touch the button. Don't touch the button. It's on. Don't touch the button. Okay. All right. Yay! It's a good thing when you teach calculus in high school. It's a very busy time for me, and I'm really excited to tell you that because we have candidates. I hope some of you had a chance to talk to Michael Tubbs. He came down from LA. He's running for lieutenant governor, and he came all the way from LA to talk with you. So he's asking if there's another time when he can come back, and perhaps we can make that happen. I read a quote a couple of days ago, and it said, "The path to Auschwitz was paved with indifference." And we need to keep showing up. I am so happy that there are so many of you here. We need to show up. We need to speak up. And we need to act up. Because if we don't, the other side is going to think we don't care. So that's my little speech. All right, I'm excited to introduce to you a gentleman by the name of Chris Floyd. And he's been here before. And so some of you know him. If you live in Lake Forest, he's going to be your candidate for the 72nd Assembly District. And so I'm going to invite Chris to come up and talk to you very briefly. We have a very tightly packed agenda, folks. So Chris, will you come up?
Let me make sure I don't mess it up. I think it's established. Gotta make sure you keep the mic with the staff. So, yes, thanks so much for the introduction. I am Chris Kluge. I'm running for Assembly District 72, which is Seal Beach, Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Lake Forest, Aliso Viejo, Laguna Hills, and Laguna Woods. So it's a fairly large district. Some of you might know me as the NFL player who lost his job for speaking out for LGBTQ rights. Some of you might know me as the guy who got arrested for protesting the MAGA flag at the LGBT Council wanted to put on our public library last year. So, needless to say, I like causing good trouble, and I think right now that's what we need. And we need it at every level of our government. So, I'm running for state assembly for a couple of reasons. First off, my likely opponent is probably going to be Gracie Vandermark, who is our Huntington Beach City Council member, who is hardcore MAGA, who's behind all the attacks on our public library. I do not want her getting more power. I want our district to be represented by someone who actually cares about the work of governance and understands that your job is to represent everyone. Even the people that didn't vote for you, even the people you disagree with. You are supposed to represent all of them. That's what I want to do. Second reason why I'm deciding to run for politics, I know last year I announced my candidacy here. People were very excited about it. And honestly, it's because so many of you have asked me to do this. I have never considered myself a politician. This is not something that I've had a deep abiding passion where like, oh, I'm going to be the next president of the United States. I, however, refuse to watch my country go down the drain and not do something about it. And we are at the point, I think it's very, very clear, that we have to show up. Like, we need to show up. And whether it's at the No Kings protest, whether it's at your city council meetings, whatever it happens to be, as Americans, if we want to save our democracy, now is the time. Because it's not right versus left anymore. There's a great quote, I think, was it Schiff that said it, it's right versus wrong, right? Like, that's the fight that we're in. So if we want to save our democracy, we've got to show up. We've got to fight. And I promise you, I will always fight. That's just who I am. So I much prefer to do question and answer because that way we can have an actual conversation. So if anyone would like to ask me some questions, please head over to Judy on the side, and I am more than happy to answer whatever you would like to talk about. And don't be shy. It's always tough to be the first person to ask the question. And that opens up the floodgates. And everyone else can ask. Alternatively, you all just think I'm amazing. Do we have a question? Oh, yes, we do have a question. Otherwise, I'm going to stand up here looking awkward.
Great lights.
Do I?
Don't touch that.
I'm not gonna
button.
touch
Nothing.
Hi, yep, it works. Okay, so let's say you do win. What's the first two pieces of legislation you want to either introduce or sign on to that somebody else might be already working on?
Yeah, so first one by far is affordability. We have to address affordability in this district and in the state. And it's going to be a multitude of things, right? It's going to be housing, it's going to be grocery bills, it's going to be energy bills, it's going to be public transit. All of the parts that go into your daily life are issues that you're going to have to address. And honestly, the best way we address it is we start taxing the hell out of rich people. That's the solution that works. And you hear all the time from other, from political people in political office, you hear, oh, California is the fourth largest economy in the world. Where's that money at? Because it does not seem like it's in the hands of all the people in the state. Like, to me, it seems like it's consolidated in the hands of the ultra wealthy who need to buy smaller yachts for their bigger yachts. And I'm sorry, if the first $1 billion didn't cure the hole in your heart, the next billion is not going to do it either. So we need to address the wealth inequality problem in this state and in this country. And that will help us address our affordability problems. So yes, I'm looking forward to passing legislation similar to like the proposed billionaire's tax, as well as like a millionaire's tax, similar to how Massachusetts did it. Because we've seen already in Massachusetts, it worked. The millionaires didn't move out. In fact, more of them
So you can introduce
it just
JJ.
turns out actually
Introduce
taxes
JJ.
and provide services.
I didn't want you to have
People
to.
like living in that city. We like living in that state. So we just need to put in the political work and willpower to do it. So that's the first one. Second one, mitigating the effects of climate change. I am going to represent 4 coastal communities and 4 communities that are at severe risk for fire hazard. We need to be thinking about what happens if we get a fire here, similar to one that happened in LA. We need to think about what happens if a hurricane hits the California coast. We had a tropical storm a couple of years ago. What happens if that gets upgraded? I know we're not a hurricane infrastructure city, district / state because we usually don't get hit by hurricanes. Those are things we need to start thinking about and actively working to prepare for. So those would be the 2 top things I would want to focus on. Next question.
From Heidi.
Hi, I talked to you a bit last night, and I think I met you at another meeting, and I always say, thank you for representing the Vikings, and I'm sorry.
For those who don't know, I played for the Minnesota Vikings who always find amazing ways to lose football games.
Yes.
And I'm glad you're not Vikings.
I'm a Minnesotan by raising and heart, but so being new to politics, I have only really become involved myself in the last couple of years, and I've been learning a lot. And one of the things I've learned is that it's a huge machine. So representing Orange County, how would you go about getting involved kind of in the machine and not allowing yourself to be pulled in wrong directions?
Right, yeah, so that's a really good question because honestly, that's the issue every politician has to deal with, right? You have established politicians where if what they were doing worked, we wouldn't be facing the problems that we're in. But because they consolidated power, it's going to take a lot of power and recognition that we're going to have to make some tough decisions that might upset people that currently have power. So a little background on me, I've been to UCLA, got a double major in poli-sci history, and as I said before, I am not doing this job because I want to be a politician for life. I want this job because that way I can solve some problems and then go back to being happily retired. That was really hard to be retired, and I was enjoying it a lot. Unfortunately, as I said, the country is just going down the hole right now, so we have to show up and fight against that. So My pledge, my promise is I am always going to do the right thing, no matter what it costs me personally, because I have done that before. And I will do it in the future because it's what I would want someone to do for me. The only way that works is if I'm in a position of power, I need to stand up for someone else, because how can I expect it from other people? So yeah, that would be how I'm going to avoid the pitfalls of the machine. In order to address the other part, I've been building a very broad coalition. I have the state party's endorsement. I have all the local electeds endorsements, so all 4 Congress members, Dave Mann, Derek Tran, Mike Levin, and Robert Garcia. I think I'm up to like 6 assembly members now. Connie Petrie Norris, Sharon Quirk Silva, Josh Lowenthal, Adelina Valencia, and Chris Ward. And then I'm building a broad coalition with the labor movement. So there's too many to list on that one. Most recently today, I learned I got the OC Labor Fed endorsement. I think I'm up to about 15 or 16 endorsements from labor at this point. So if you want to see them, you can go to the website, clueyoc.com. We got a big old list. And so that's what I want to do. I want to build that broad coalition so that way I am representing everyone.
Okay, we have a question here from Randy and then Gustavo, and then that'll be the last questions for Chris tonight.
Hi, nice to meet you, Chris. You talked about affordability. There is an issue that not a lot of people are aware of in terms of energy. San Diego Gas and Electric is our company, and there's also Edison. We are zoned in Laguna Hills, even though it was 90 whatever today, we're zoned coastal. So we pay the same higher rates that they do in Laguna Beach, but they don't need the air like we do. So therefore, we are paying an exorbitant amount on our bills, whereas like Escondido is getting it cheap because they're inland. And so I think you would be that person if you won. How would you, I'm assuming it's the Utilities Commission, but how would you go about addressing that when nobody else has and it was zoned this way 30 or 40 years ago? And it's ridiculous.
Right, yeah, so I think there's actually an underlying problem there. It's the fact that privately owned utilities have not been doing their job for a very long time, and we should be looking at exploring publicly owned utilities, particularly electric companies. Because I am sorry, I am only looking about fires caused by people. Like, they clearly are doing work for their shareholders first, and the people who live in the area second. So that would be my main goal. Try to push for public.
But it is the state that made us, that zoned us coastal. The state did that.
Right, so my secondary goal, where there's situations like that we need to address, yes, we have to have those conversations, and we have to point out the fact that this isn't fair. And I know it can sound childish to say this isn't fair, but it's legitimate. When something isn't fair, we should be able to point that out and say, no, this is not fair. How do we make this equitable? How do we make this just? How do we make sure that if I was in that position, I would be happy or at least okay with how I'm being treated, right? Instead of feeling like, well, why am I shouldering the majority of the burden when other people aren't? Because again, at the end of the day, we're all in this together. Like, we're all on the same team. We're all Americans. We need to make sure we're all paying our fair share and that we're all supporting each other. So yeah, I definitely would do that.
Okay, and Gustavo has a question.
You admit you're not a politician. You were a legendary punter. How is punting like politics? And what from your punting days will you bring to your political years?
That is definitely the first time I've got that question. So I would say punting is like politics in that you are working together with a group of other people that have different skill sets, right? You're all relying on each other to do your job appropriately. So for example, I can't run down the field and cover them the same way my gun is. I can't block and protect the same way my interior guys do. I can snap almost as well as my box officer. That's just because I want to. But again, like I wouldn't be able to do that job to this level. So it's okay for us to be good at different things, but then we have to work together to combine our strengths. So that way we are doing the overall job that needs to get done. And the other thing we have to realize is it's also okay to not like each other. I played with guys who get into literal fist fights in practice every week, but then on Sunday, when the lights came on, we all worked together to win the game. That was our objective. That's what I want to see in our state legislature. That's what I want to see in our national legislative body. That's what I want to see from us as a country.
Oh, yeah, I think
the
everybody.
acknowledgement that it is okay to not get along with other people, but you still need to protect their right to exist. You need to support their ability to prosper and thrive just how you want for yourself. In terms of the actual hunting mechanic, I don't think bills are very aerodynamic, so I'm not sure if we can assemble it. But my campaign team wants me to record a video, a funny one, so you'll probably see that at some point. So, well, thank you.
Okay, let's give it up for Chris Cluey. Yay! Thank you, Chris, very, very much. He's now running off to another event, and we have JJ Galvez in the house. Where's JJ? Judy will have a few words. If you would like a question for JJ, please line up over here.
I think a lot of you may know JJ because he's a member of our club. He was in charge of the Young Democrats and then he was the organization. So I am pleased to introduce him to you. He is running for Assembly of the 71st District, and I'm going to turn the mic over to JJ.
All right, my name is JJ Galvez, and I am running for State Assembly District 71, and I just want to start out by saying that I love this country, and I love California. But as many as you know, thank you, I wasn't born here. I was born in Honduras, in Central America, and I was so lucky to be born into a middle-class family in a country where 70% of the population lives in poverty. And from an early age, I think I always had a deep level of social consciousness because I recognized the opportunity that I had, because even though I was going to a great private bilingual school, I had to drive through every single day some of the most marginalized parts of the city. And for me, what that meant was that I worked really hard in school, and I was able to earn a scholarship to come to the US, to go to college, and after graduating, I built a successful career in technology and entrepreneurship, and thanks to that work, I was able to help me and my wife buy a home in a time when it's so difficult for young people to buy a home. My story is the story of access to opportunity. And that's why I still believe in the American dream. But a lot of people are not believing in the American dream anymore. And that is why we have an authoritarian populist in the White House. I got distracted because my wife's in the audience right now, and I just saw her, and I'm really happy to see her there. Back to the speech. Affordability. You know, it's not just a political keyword. The cost of things has risen over the past several decades much faster than the rise in wages. In Mission Viejo, to buy a home today, adjusted for inflation, is 5 times as expensive as it was in 1965. And adjusted for inflation, income hasn't risen at that pace. Childcare, transportation, healthcare, insurance, everything has gone up. So you have a situation where just working hard isn't enough anymore. And now we have an economy that makes it really easy for us to be distracted by this, because it's really easy for me to just finance a new phone and then use that phone to scroll on social media and get advertisements on things that I can buy in terms, a new subscription that I can sign up to. And we say yes to those things because we need to find a way to cope with the lack of economic opportunity, but also with the world that is always in crisis. And for younger generations that are looking right around the corner at the risks of climate change and the unknown effects of a super powerful technology, AI, that has the potential of displacing jobs like we've never seen before. So it's not just an economic crisis that we're in right now, it's a spiritual crisis. We've lost faith in the ability to build a better future. But it doesn't have to be that way. We have the power to change things, and it starts right here in California. California, top 5 economy in the world. California, a place where we can
have strong, united, democratic leadership by electing people like Chris Louie, by electing people like me, to take this kind of energy to the state assembly. I think the way in which we move forward is three things. Number one, we have to bring down the cost of living, but we have to do that without increasing the tax burden on working class families. That means that we have to get very creative in how we can leverage the power of government to change the structure of our economic system. I'll give you an example. One proposal that I have is around housing. It's a program that I think can help us reduce the cost of materials so that we can build more affordable housing. I call it CalBuild, and it is inspired by other programs, other successful programs out there that basically take the purchasing power of the states to be able to negotiate cheaper rates for our construction materials, including things like fiber cement, which is great at protecting your home from fires. So we can give developers access to materials at a lower rate so that they can build more affordable housing, and so that they can do that without sacrificing fair-paying construction jobs. Okay, we need to do more things like that. Number two, we have to grow jobs, especially in sectors that are resilient to things like AI and automation. So this means we have to amplify career pathways for our young people so that they are more exposed to good paying careers in the skilled trades and in caregiving. And number three, and this one is really hard, we have to find a balance, and this is something that all of us do individually in our lives. We have to find a balance between calling out the MAGA administration for all the atrocities that they're doing, but not attacking each other. We have to recognize our shared humanity. We recognize it in our immigrant community. We recognize it with our trans and with our gay siblings. We have to also recognize it in people that have worn a red hat at some point. Because divorce is not an option. We have to get through this together. And instead, we need to focus on the true villains here, which are the elected officials that are abusing power for their own self-gain. For my campaign, what that means is I can point to the lack of effectiveness in my opponents. Kate Sanchez was elected in 2022, and since then, she has the second most missed votes of the entire state legislature. That is unacceptable. It should be a privilege to serve our community. So for me, I can call that out and at the same time have an open door to all my Republican neighbors. I can work together with my local board in Silverado Canyon to find common ground and to achieve solutions together. Because at the end of the day, I would be honored to serve my community, to represent my community up in Sacramento. And what I can commit to all of you is that I will try. I will work my very best to help restore your faith in a better world. Thank you.
Okay, and then Lori has a question.
Hi, JJ. I have gotten all of Kate Sanchez's newsletters, and a lot of them focus on the gas tax. I don't have a problem paying the gas tax because I have a hybrid now. But I would like to know, how would you address, if there's a short way to put this, how would you address the issues she's had with the state legislature, because she is a Republican in a democratically run state legislature? And also deal with the stalling of issues that could help Californians that are going on in there, despite the fact that we have a democratic state legislature.
The cost of transportation is one of the hardest topics for us to have an honest conversation about as Democrats. Because it's true that we have the most expensive gas in the country, and we've made an intentional choice for that. And I think it's a choice that we all agree with because we understand the dangers of climate change. We have to find a balance between incentivizing people to transition to a clean energy future, but also helping them pay for what they need to do. I think one of the ways in which we can do that, and I honestly don't have a specific answer, but this is a framework. We've got to be, first of all, very careful about just saying we're going to throw money at the problem, because we have a lot of budgetary problems in California. But what we can do is, we have, for example, the billionaire tax coming up in the proposal. We'll see if that gets through or not. I'm a supporter of it. The good thing about taxing the ultra wealthy is that we can get a lot of revenue from them. For example, to do some really great building of EV chargers in low-income communities in California, so that people in those communities can have a better economic decision to make around maybe switching their gas car to an electric vehicle. So we get a lot of resources when we tax the ultra wealthy to do that. But the problem is that the way that the ultra wealthy make most of their money is through capital gains, which means that they are very subject. Their net worth goes up and down by a lot, depending on how their stock portfolio is looking. So then we have situations like the one in which we're in, where we went from having a surplus to now having a deficit. And so it makes it really difficult to plan. But I think that if we build the capability to do targeted revenue increases, like what we're proposing with this one-time billionaires tax, we can take the funds from those, it's not a windfall, it's whatever, when things are going really well, and then you can dedicate them to time-bound investments that have a start and an end date. So we're not setting up a new program that now we have to fund every budgetary cycle, but we're saying we've allocated $50 million to clean it, to EV charge infrastructure. Then the second part of that is we actually have to deliver. And that's where we need to do a lot of work in being more effective as government. The bullet train is the perfect example. Right? That's been going on forever, and we still haven't done it. So I get excited about going on to state assembly because in my professional background, taking companies from 0 to 1, from 0 to scale, and understanding what it's like to build things. And I hope to bring that kind of perspective to state assembly.
Thank you. Okay.
And we have Cindy with another one.
Hi, JJ. So as you've heard, there's a lot of seats that we can volunteer on in this club. What analysis have you done and what work has your team done to make this a winnable seat?
Great question. This is a very difficult district. Historically, it's been a district that Republicans have won easily. That is why we have somebody in office right now that can miss the second most amount of votes, right, of the entire legislature. There is a path, and it's 4 different things. Number 1, it's leveraging the biggest thing, which is actually something that we can't control, but it's what puts this in play, which is we're going to see a massive blue wave because of all the work that everybody's doing here to show up and volunteer and protest. We are going to see a massive blue wave in the midterms, and we're seeing already the effects of that, the evidence of that in elections that went +13, +17 Trump that have flipped Democratic. Okay, so that's number 1. We're going to ride that wave. Number 2 is we need to have a really strong message focused on making people's lives better, hyper-focused on economics. And that's where I talk about lowering the cost of living and having command over the issues so that I can show people that I actually have a plan to achieve these things. Lowering the cost of living, increasing job opportunities. Number 3, we need to run a very, very strong campaign operationally. This is something where I hope to bring in some of my professional expertise to help us build a great operation. And I think so far, we did an incredible job with the amount of signatures. Anybody who helped us collect signatures, anybody who signed a signature for nomination papers, thank you so much. We collected over 1,200 signatures for our candidate fight. It's going to take building that kind of ground game to knock on as many doors as we can and to talk to as many voters as we can. By the way, this Saturday we have our canvassing launch in Ladera Ranch. Make sure before you head out to stop by the table and grab a flyer. It has a QR code with you can just scan and look at very specific, easy actions that you can take to support that campaign. And number 4, it is how we tell the story of counter-positioning myself, our campaign, against a very ineffective representative right now. And that's where we can point to Kate Sanchez's voting record, and that's also where we can point to the fact that, okay, you're an independent, maybe you're a Republican that is kind of moderate. I wouldn't really want to vote for a Democrat, but JJ seems pretty reasonable, and the fact that he's part of the majority party, the fact that Kate hasn't really done anything to bring back funding to our location, I'm going to give it my vote because he's going to be more effective. So I think it's those 4 things.
Okay, one more question from Heidi.
Hi, I'm Heidi Prescott from Laguna Hills. I've been a California resident for a very long time, which means that I was around for the dot-com bust and all of the technology since then. What happened with our technology companies? It seems that they were more left-leaning, blue, creative, interested in innovation, and then as they grew their wealth and became these billionaires, suddenly it seems a much more, we're in this for us. So, and can we use technology to help us build a better state?
Absolutely we can, and absolutely we need to. I think it's a classic case of power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. The good thing is that, being from the tech world myself, I can say that, the majority of people that are workers in that tech world tend to be pretty democratic. But I think at the top, you just have that situation where the more you have to lose. And, I think we see that this sort of like manifest destiny, God willing, like it's my right to bend the world to my will kind of rhetoric with people around Donald Trump, people like Peter Thiel, people like Elon Musk, people that, don't have to answer to anybody in their companies. And so I definitely think that some of it is just as simple as human nature and just the ego that is fed through absolute power. But we have the best resource that there is, and that's people. And that's people showing up to the streets, doing what you're doing out here today. I'm really glad to see how full the room is tonight. We have no case coming out on Saturday of next week. That's what we have to continue to do. And then we just need to deliver, as a government. It ultimately comes down to that. That is why we have somebody like Donald Trump in the White House. And that is where technology, by the way, can help us a lot and make government more efficient. Deployed correctly, artificial intelligence can unlock a lot of great quality of life improvements for everybody. So there's definitely an opportunity there. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, JJ. And his QR code is also on the screen that he talked about.
Okay, and we have one more candidate, and I think it's awesome that we have a candidate who is running for Superior Court. How many of us look at the ballot and see these names as judges and think, I don't know who to vote for? So we have somebody in the House, and his name is Robert Messman. He is running for Superior Court, Seat 13.
Thanks so much. I'm Robert Messman, again, running for Orange County Superior Court Judge. I'm a 24-year career prosecutor. I've handled essentially every type of case in the office: homicide, state crime, sexual assaults, elder abuse, fraud. Spent 5 years prosecuting sexual assault cases, supervising the sexual assault unit. Probably the most rewarding work I've done in my career. Also supervised a DNA unit that uses the latest technology to solve serious violent crime, including cold cases, sometimes going back decades. Used to work on Capitol Hill before I became a prosecutor. Any people remember Senator Alan Cranston? So, I go to a lot of meetings, people never heard of Alan Cranston. I worked for Senator Alan Cranston and also Senator Dianne Feinstein. My first job out of college, went to Northwestern University in Chicago. I'm a California native, by the way. Packed my car up, drove out to Washington, D.C., and landed a job with Senator Alan Cranston, and worked for him for a couple of years. He retired, worked for several years for Senator Dianne Feinstein. Then went back to Chicago, went to Northwestern University School of Law, and also got my MBA at the Kellogg School, and I've been a prosecutor ever since. I've also, I've spent 24 years of my career protecting the public, focusing on public safety and victims' rights. I also formed our conviction integrity unit, the first conviction integrity unit in Orange County, to basically go back and make sure mistakes weren't made. And if mistakes were made in the prosecution of cases, people were wrongfully convicted, go back and reverse that. And also establish best practices of the office so mistakes aren't made in the future. I also rose through the ranks and became division chief, and one of the units I supervised was our post-conviction unit, which is a new unit we created in the last maybe 5-6 years ago to help implement all the criminal justice reform efforts that California has implemented, whether it's resentencing of inmates, expungement, sealing of records, vacating convictions for immigration consequences. There's a lot of things that we're doing, and we created a special unit for that. I also implemented the office's race point charging system, which was a new law implemented. It was a bill that Rob Bonta passed when he was in the assembly to try to take race, implicit bias out of prosecutors' charging decisions. And I'm happy to say we were the first office in California up and running with office-wide race point charging system. So we've done a lot of good work in the office. California, I'm proud to say, or Orange County, I'm proud to say, is the safest large county in California, partly due to the great work of law enforcement and then what we do at the DA's office. So, like I said, public safety is my #1 priority, but I also understand the balance, and it's very important to make sure people's rights are protected, everyone has access to justice, and everyone's due process rights are protected. And one of my major issues in why I'm becoming a judge is we need good judges that are independent and will uphold the rule of law, especially in today's times, what's going on, having an independent judiciary of judges that will make the right decision without outside influence, and make sure that each person's rights are protected and we have due process and uphold the law in California and around the country is very important to me. Also, treating everyone with respect. In 24 years, when I was a young attorney, I wanted to go to the judge where I would get good rulings. The judge can yell at you, not treat you well, be rude to witnesses. After 24 years doing this job, I want to go to a courtroom where I'll be treated fairly with respect. If I get a bad ruling, I can navigate around it. But you want judges that will let you be heard, treat you fairly, treat your witnesses, your litigants with respect. You may not agree with the decision in the end, but as long as you feel like you had an opportunity to be heard, you had access to justice, and you were treated well, I think that's all we can ask our judges to do. So that's why I'm running. I've served my community for 24 years, and before that on Capitol Hill. And I want to continue serving my community. I think I have the experience, the judgment, the temperament to be a great judge, and I want to continue serving the community here in Orange County. Just on a personal note, to tell you a little bit more about me, my family comes from a very diverse background. My father immigrated to this country from South America when he was 30 years old, knew almost no English, went on to have a very successful professional career and raised 4 great kids, if I say so myself. And my wife is Vietnamese. She came over when she was 5 months old on a refugee boat with her family to leave the fall of Saigon, with literally just the clothes on her back, separated from her father, and they met months later at a refugee camp in Guam. They originally settled in Florida and then came over to Southern California and went on to have a very successful business entrepreneurship career. I have 2 children, a 16-year-old and 20-year-old. I was raised in a Democratic household, and we are raising our children in a Democratic household with those values. And Orange County is a very diverse place. It's not the Orange County from 30 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. It's different backgrounds, different languages, different cultures. And I think we need judges that understand that. When people come to court, they come from all different walks of life. Some of them may not speak English, they have different backgrounds, and we need judges who understand the diversity of the community and will treat everybody with respect and ensure access to justice for everybody, regardless of your social level. Thank you.
Okay, well, Judge Messman, you did such a great job that we have no questions for you tonight. But You never know as time goes.
Just add one thing.
Oh, please.
I have these cards. I tried handing them out or putting them on all the chairs. I don't think I got to everyone. There's a table in the back with them. You'll notice there's a QR code on the back. My kids made sure I had this QR code on the back. They also make fun of the social media posting, so I apologize about that. But anyway, you can scan this. It has a list of all my support. I did forget to mention that. I'm just going for one more minute. I am the Democratic Party endorsed candidate for judge, and I have a wide range of support from Lou Correa, Mike Levin, Derek Tran, Connie Petrie-Norris, Katrina Foley, Doug Chafee, lots of local mayors and city council members. I have labor support, public safety, crime victims. I'm really very humbled by all the support I have. Senator Catherine Blakespear, lots, Senator Tom Umberg, Paul Archuleta. I really have a lot of support. I'm very humbled by it. But you can go to my website, it has a list of all the organizations, veterans groups, firefighters that have endorsed me and support me. My election is one and done in June. So June is not a primary for me. June is the election, and it will be decided in June, and I'd be honored to have your support. Thanks so much.
Before I get off of the stage, I just want to introduce 3 candidates, local candidates who are here. If you will look all the way to the very back, stand up Becky King. She is running for Council Forums 52. And over here is Amy Stevens. Stand up, Amy. She's running for City Council Forest District 4. And I believe I saw Laura Lacko. Laura, yay! Laura's running for City Council in Mission.
And then just a reminder, at our April meeting, we will have Joe Kerr, Esther Kim, Lisa Ramirez in a forum, and then we will continue to have other candidates like tonight. And hopefully you're getting all excited, because for all of this to come to fruition, it's going to take some work and some money from all of us. So I'm going to turn it over to Louise, and she'll explain more about what some of you learned at the tables here.
Hi, everybody. You all know that just praying for these candidates is not enough. It's the best prayer group in the world when they get them into office. So we need to do our share of the work. And that's what we're about tonight. So as you came in, people were filling out these blue forms. And I know we've had you fill out forms before, but we'd like you to do it again because we've got some new things on the list. So there is something for everybody, okay? There is something everybody can do. We need help putting together packets that are going to be held on our doors. And we're going to be doing that in the local communities. So that's why we have tables, and fill this out, put it on the table for the city that you live in, and then the coordinator will get in touch with you. We have handwritten postcards that we put on the door, which are very effective. Sarah Wade from Arms, if you'd like to write postcards to voters, begging them to vote, it's effective. And we found people who put those things on their wash on their refrigerator doors. We need some extra electric staplers. We are printing voter guides, 27,000 voter guides are coming out of the refrigerator this week, which will be hung on doors across our community. Okay. We will have copies for you available at our next meeting, but you can go to our website tonight and look at the website, and listed as one of the tabs is voter guide. You can print some of those yourself at home and give them to your neighbors or forward it to your friends. And it has all the names of these people that you've been meeting tonight. We are also starting, I want to say just something about delivering these voter guides. We are not knocking on the doors. We don't have time to stop and talk to people this time because we have so many things to pass out. So we're just walking. And we're not having big parties where we get together on Saturday morning anymore either. You can go to your coordinator, get a kit to walk, and pick the day and the place where you want to walk yourself. So if you want to walk in the morning or in the afternoon, anytime you want, you can walk, okay? And if you want to pick your neighborhood, you get to pick where you go walk. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible. The other thing that we're gearing up to do is to do election protection at the polls. We will probably have about 19 vote centers across our club area. And we are going to need people to visit those vote centers to make sure that there's no people with red hats causing trouble. Okay? Now, you're not going to have to solve that problem because we just have a phone number you call and then the troops arrive, okay? So you don't have to make any confrontation, but we need you there as observers and to also answer questions of voters and questions about what their rights are, okay? So, and that's all listed on this blue form. So even if you filled out one of the forms before, please do it again, okay? And find something on here that you can do. So everybody on election night can pat themselves on the back and say, yes, we drove the big wave. And why is the big wave so important? Because when we have one of those big wave elections, it makes it easier to motivate people, really good people like the ones you've seen tonight, to run for office. They want to know that they're going to have support. Okay? If we don't turn up and we don't walk and we don't turn out to vote, why should we expect these people to spend their time and money on an election and then have to sit as a city council member like they do in Mission Viejo and treat her like terribly? We have to elect more than one person to these city councils, because otherwise we're just throwing them into the lion's den. So everybody needs to do something. You know, look yourself in the mirror every day and say, what have I done to stop the craziness? Thank you. At the end of the meeting, the vote table, I sure hope we see you folks out there walking. Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, just a couple more things, business items, and then we'll get to a really, another important part of our meeting, and that is Gustavo. So a couple of things on my behalf. So this is Women's History Month, and it would be horrible for me to go without mentioning that. And to bring that to the fore, I think we look out in the audience and we can see that I want to thank all of the women in the Canyon Dems, all of the members, all of the chairs, all of the committee people who work tirelessly to make all of these things come true. So thank you very much. This has been mentioned many times tonight, so hopefully you've got the date in your mind. It's a week from this Saturday. We have t-shirts for you. You don't want to go to that thing without a t-shirt, so make sure you get that this evening, because we won't have a meeting before then. And you can, they're all over the place. They're going to be in Laguna Hills like they were before. They're going to be in Ladera Ranch. They're going to be down in Dana Point. So pick your place and show up, right? Okay, now a few committee reports. Just to let you know, membership is growing. We have still a lot of people that need to re-sign up. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, I get emails often like, oh, did I sign up? So please make sure that you go and look. Right now, we've got 353 people who have paid. And then we have the rest that are on the rolls, and we need them to do their membership again. Now, for next month, we have another outreach. Ann, are you here? Yes, Ann. Okay, she's probably out loading her car up. Oh, there she is. Okay, so Ann has organized with Laura's House. So for Laura's House, they need gas cards, probably to get to work. What do you think? Household cleaning supplies, laundry supplies. So if you will bring those at our next meeting. And then for fundraising coming up, if you are a sustaining member, you might want to do that, because on May 3rd, there's going to be a big party for that. And to continue to raise our money, Marty is going to pull a number, so look at your ticket tonight for the 50-50. Or is it a 50-50? It's a basket. Okay, so pull a number. Oh, okay. Okay, it ends in 070. Anybody have one that ends in 070? Blue, good point. Oh, they're multicolored. 070. 070. Uh-oh. Somebody lost their tickets.
Okay, well, here's another.
070.
Oh, there we are.
Oh, we got it? Oh, okay, good.
And then we have a second chance drawing.
Oh.
We have a nice t-shirt.
Oh.
And so, yes.
Okay, we got blue 216. Blue 216.
In the back? There you are. Okay. To come to the sustaining donor thing, they have to be sustainers by March 31st.
Okay, so March 31st, you have to be a sustaining member. So go home and do that tonight. And there are going to be other fundraising things at our next one. You might want to bring some extra money. Going to have some hot dogs for us.
Dinner next week. Come have dinner with us.
Yes, so we will continue to have more fundraising. Oh, $200 we made, so we got to add to our budget, okay? Okay, the Canyon Young Dems continue to just have all kinds of ideas and to grow. So they will be having a party. And the party is to make posters for the King's rally that's coming up. So there's the QR code, here. And they are also doing the putting together of all the packets that Louise pointed out. So if you have any young Dems or you are a young Dem, please sign up at one of those QR codes and get to know some other young Dems in the club, right? Okay. Yeah, way to go. Okay, now we have a new program committee with some previous members and some new members. Ted Pearl will continue to be the chair. We have Ann Owens, who has added on. We have Kathy Palmer, who have added on. We have Justine White, who is continuing. They've already gone full guns and have gotten some great people lined up. And for tonight, I was able to connect with Gustavo Areno, and if you'll come on up, he is the classic case of an Orange County kid who goes big. Grew up here. Oh, yes. He grew up here in Santa Ana. Some of you might have been reading OC Weekly. Well, that's OC, isn't it?
No, you said I grew up in Santa Ana.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. That's where, okay. Thank you. And any of you grow up reading the OC Weekly? Okay, so he has been doing this for quite a while and is now part of the LA Times with several Pulitzer Prize, part of the group. Yes, part of a group. You know, you're such a humble man, but I love it. I know. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Gustavo, and he's going to get us ginned up to get out and get doing our stuff on the streets.
Yeah, who the hell knows what I'm going to do?
That's true.
What time do we end? 8:30?
You just take it away.
How long do you want me to talk? Let's go for half an hour. I'll probably be around toward the end. I'm full of shepherd's pie and one shot of Jameson, Arizo Bra, of course. I drove, and this was a couple of hours earlier. But no, what I'll do, I'll talk for about half an hour, get to your question for 15 minutes, and I see Barbara right there. What's up? I see friends here, which is very nice. But thank you for the kind introduction. It brought me to give myself another because I always tell people when you have an audience in front of you, talk about all the amazing things that you do, because you never know when you're going to have an audience in front of you again. And more importantly, you don't know who in the audience you might reach, whose life you might change, and who might change your life based on what you say. So just for any
Scary.
do this. So, yes, my name is Gustavo Arellano. My day job, I'm a columnist with the Los Angeles Times. My ostensible beat is Southern California everything and a bunch of the West and beyond. So I really write about it all. I'll just give you an example. Today I wrote about Cesar Chavez. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Some people might not know what's going on. I also wrote about how I did not like the Academy Award-winning Best Oscar film One Battle After Another. I didn't like it at all. Well, I gave it a B minus. So it's Paul Thomas Anderson, who's a genius, but he really thinks the Weather Underground did anything good in society. Like, no, I did not have it. But that's a whole other conversation. Before that, I wrote about a dinner series in Los Angeles that costs $1,500 a place. Noma LA, and the huge scandal involving that because the restaurateur, who is considered the best chef in the world, turns out to be, he screamed at his staff, allegedly, allegedly screamed at his staff, he's actually admitted to that, jabbed them with barbecue forks, punched them, and threatened to deport his, the family members of his staff. Yeah? He resigned. That says a lot right there. So there you go. Food, film, history. And then before that, I think I wrote about politics. So I really do cover it all. I've been a columnist for Los Angeles Times now. This fall will be 6 years. Before that, I spent 1 year as just a features writer, just writing about everything and anything. Before that, yes, I worked for a newspaper that no longer exists called OC Weekly. OC Weekly, for that, I was the editor for 6 years. I was an investigative reporter all those years. I also was a food critic, so we can still talk about food. I still know my food down here. Mission Viejo's gotten better over the years, thank God. Laguna Hills, by the way, which you folks are over there, very underrated food scene, like so underrated, like so Viejo as well. This is like Dove Canyon, sorry. Where's the line, right? Same thing with Rancho Santa Margarita. We used to have a really good bar, but not anymore. I also did a column that got me national notoriety called Ask a Mexican, where people would send me questions about Mexicans, and I would answer them. The column was as incendiary and ridiculous as it sounded. It was syndicated across the country. It was a best-selling book. I'm also the author of 3.3 books. My first book was Ask a Mexican, sold very well, came out in 2007. My second book was called, this is ancient history at this point, but I still have to mention them. My second book was called Orange County Personal History, a history of Orange County, the way we influence the rest of the United States. Half history of that, half history of my family's own, basically a family memoir. Counting my nephew, we are 5 generations in Orange County, starting with my great-grandma and my grandpa who came from Mexico in 1918 to pick oranges in Anaheim and to live in a segregated community for that hard labor. My mom, she was able to come here legally though because my grandmother was born in Arizona Territory as a refugee from the Mexican Revolution. My dad, on the other hand, the first time he came to this country was in the trunk of a Chevy. And for years since, for many years afterwards, he treated the border like a proposition, in and out and up and down, in like the Dr. Seuss book over the border. So I am the proud son of a legal immigrant, Uto Habo, a wetback. I say that with pride. Yes. Anyways, that book flopped completely. Massive flop. Oh my God, it was so embarrassing. If people know me at all nationally, it's for, oh, someone has it. You are a wise man for having it. Thank you. There were very few people buying it. The third book that I wrote, that actually, if people know me at all nationally, is for my third book. It's called Taco USA, How Mexican Food Conquered America. It is a history of Mexican food in the United States. And that came out in 2012, and obviously we're 12 years later, so no one knows more about Mexican food in the United States than me. This is not a brag. How many of you have had the chicken tacos on White in Pueblo, Colorado? Raise your hand. That's all I have to say. I have done that. I have done all of that. It makes sense. So I don't really write about food much anymore, but when I do, it's usually about Mexican food because I have that veto card against my editors to say, I want to write about this. And then the point three books, someone there has evaluated People's Guide to Orange County, I co-wrote it with Elaine Llewellyn, who's a professor of American Studies at Cal State Fullerton, and Tuivo Deng, who is now in library sciences at UCLA. It's a guidebook to the hidden parts of Orange County, the radical history of Orange County, the progressive history of Orange County. Came out in 2022, and it's an academic book. Came out with the University of California Press, and it has sold very, very well. We do history tours, walking tours of a lot of the spots. Most of it is centered on more like older cities in Orange County. Nothing against South Orange County, but we have enough tours about the mission and the canyons and all that stuff. People need to know, people need to walk in Placentia. Yeah, poor little Placentia that no one ever thinks about. It has actually a very critical role in the history of Orange County in different ways. I'm not going to give it away, but 2022. So that's all of that. I also do a weekly commentary for KCRW 89.9. Every Monday, I do a commentary called the Orange County Line, where I just get the big story of the week that happened in Orange County. The last one I talked about was, what the hell's going on with the Great Park? Haven't we been asking that question for 20 years?
Yeah.
What the hell's been going on with the Great Park? I know, a great idea, far better than an international airport, but just bogged down and all sorts of stuff. And so just whatever the big issue is, I try to explain Orange County to an LA audience, because LA still thinks that Orange County is stuck in, people said, do you remember Alan Cranston? Well, who here remembers James Utz? Any of you? Some of you do. Yeah, James Utz, one of the original crazy Republicans in Orange County, represented Tustin. Probably in those days probably represented this part as well, but they still think Orange County is stuck in that, and as we know, we are, like I tell people now, this is not John Wayne's Orange County anymore. This isn't even my Orange County. I'm 47 and I have seen just an incredible change. I'll say that for a little bit. So I have that. What else can I say about myself? Oh, I teach history of Orange County at UC Irvine. Just a lecture. I taught it in the fall, I'll probably do it again. I teach a Latinx history of Orange County at my alma mater, Chapman University. And that is a very, very cool class. And then the last thing I'll say before we get to whatever remarks I'm going to say, if you like anything I have to say today, please subscribe to my free newsletter. You go to my website at gustavoarellano.org. It's very simple, easy to remember, gustavoarellano.org. There'll be a subscribe button, kind of on the right side. And it's a free weekly newsletter. I put links to all the articles I have done in the previous week, all the media appearances I've done in the previous week, and like quotes or anything like that, podcasts I appeared in, any upcoming events. I would do this one because sometimes Democratic clubs get a little bit antsy because, I get a lot of weirdos following. I know all of you can handle the weirdos that come at me, but I don't want to make it too, I do a missive, really, really cool. So I don't bother, I have to use social media, but social media is garbage, absolute garbage. There was a question earlier about what happened with the tech people who used to be so cool. The bosses, not the workers, the bosses were always a bunch of tech bros. And I am not surprised that they have turned so fascistic. They're a bunch of geeks and dorks and sadly have way too much influence on our lives. And so I really barely use it. And if I go on Instagram, all you see is photos of murals of the Virgin of Guadalupe. Because this is a true story. In 2022, I posted in the city of Santana, there's a house that every year turns into a magnificent altar to La Virgen de Guadalupe. The entire front of the house, the roof, it is one of the most gorgeous public displays of faith you will ever see. So every year I post a photo of it on Instagram. In 2022, Instagram took down that photo. It said I violated their standards on violence and hate speech. Absolutely true. I wrote about this for National Catholic Reporter. I appealed it, and nope, they would not accept it. So Instagram, all you have to know is Instagram hates La Virgen de Guadalupe. Scrub. I was going to say another word. Scrub. Anyways, all right. So usually when I get invited to that, I have to say, of course, I am a member of no organized party. I am a Democrat. Bill Rogers, God bless him. I was declined to stay all my life until 2018. So I'm also prefacing everything I'm going to talk about with this anecdote. In In 2018, I went to go speak to the Little Woods Democrats. They always like to hear from me, and I'm kind of wacky. And remember, 2018, we knew there was a big blue wave coming. We knew that. And so they asked me, like, what do you think about the congressional races? Remember at the time, we only had 1.5 Democrats representing Orange County. Loretta Sanchez was getting out of office, so she was going to be replaced by Lou Correa. And then Alan Lowenthal's district, which of course is based in Long Beach, but he had a little bit of Orange County. And I said, yeah, I think Democrats will pick up another seat, but I don't think they'll get a majority. And I'm like, you know what? How about if Dems get a majority of the congressional seats in Orange County, I'll register as a Democrat. You know what happened. Clean sweep. Clean sweep. I'm a man of my words, so I'm very proud to say I'm a Laguna Woods Democrat. I say that proudly. They gave me a card. I'm apparently number 714, so carry that very, very proud. So anyway, so usually then when I'm asked to speak to Democrats, and I've spoken to you folks before a couple years ago, so well, nice to see you folks again. Bigger crowd this time. Last time was kind of like a banquet, which is kind of cool, but still this is cooler. I'm given a topic. Usually nowadays they ask me to speak about immigration, obviously, but this time, kindly, I was asked to talk about whatever you write about in the Los Angeles Times. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do a grab bag of things. Let's see if it motivates you folks to ask questions. I'm only going to talk for 15 more minutes to get through questions, and we'll go from there. So I apologize. And first and foremost, Chris Kluwe, he handled that weird question perfect. He was already amazing to begin with. I mean, especially if you don't follow Prep football, he played at Los Alamitos High, and he's probably the greatest punter Orange County ever produced. Went to my alma mater, UCLA, was a great punter for the NFL, but literally he got run out of his job because he started speaking in favor of LGBTQ rights. The league that still sadly to this day is way too homophobic. And so it makes me happy that he's running for office. He does have an uphill campaign, especially out in Huntington Beach, MAGA by the Sea. But I think that one is definitely winnable because, of course, you have two candidates, two Republicans that are going to cancel each other out, at least in the primary. Gracie Vandermark is, of course, Huntington Beach council member, and don't believe that name. She's 100% Latina. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then a retread from the past. It wasn't Travis Allen. Matt Harper, yes, Matt Harper. You former assembly member, yeah, he's running against her. It's like, dude, you sucked the first time. Why are you running again? But that offers the opportunity for Chris to be able to sneak into the general election. So I'm just talking about gerrymandering. I didn't know that he would represent you folks, but if you can volunteer for his race, please do. If you can sneak him in, and especially given how the blue wave is just barely starting, I think that's definitely winnable. But anyways, I apologize if I was there standing in the corner and just texting. I really try not to do that. But sadly, my entire day has been occupied with the news that my colleague and I wrote about today. Just in case you haven't heard, Cesar Chavez, we all know who he is. On March 31st, we're going to celebrate Cesar Chavez Day. But the Cesar Chavez Foundation, which carries on his legacy and is in charge of the Cesar Chavez National Monument, and the United Farm Workers today put out statements saying that there's big news coming about allegations that Cesar Chavez sexually abused women. Not just adults, but also minors. This is not internet rumors. This is not your neighbor posting something on Instagram. This is coming directly from the two organizations that are literally set up to advocate and carry on the work of Cesar Chavez. So I would urge you to read the story that came out today for all the details. I, of course, am going to write a column about it to sum up all of this. All I'll say right now, and this is very important, especially as Democrats, it's hard for Democrats because we have to elect people, and we frequently look up to the people that we elect. But the good things that people do, we should not attribute them just to certain people. There's a saying in journalism, don't worship your heroes, better yet, don't meet your heroes. I would say that whatever comes on the Chavez, we still don't know what the full facts are, but yeah, given where it's coming from, it's something to be very concerned about. Do not throw out the baby with the bathwater. Because although Cesar, I mean, we're gonna have to come to our reckoning with him, I still don't think we have to, there's no reckoning to be had with the movement that he was a figurehead for so long. The movement, el movimiento, the battle for farm workers, for dignity, for fair wages, for unions, for Mexican Americans and Latinos to have representation and to fight for political office, it continues. He was just someone who was there. Sadly, he was an imperfect person, and we're probably gonna find out he was worse than an imperfect person. So although it's obviously we should all be disappointed, disgusted, and all that stuff, the work continues, especially in this year where you have politics always been trying to tear down Cesar Chavez. In recent years, they tried to make him a hero because he was opposed to illegal immigration, which is absolutely true, but it's a little ridiculous. But we all have it in Spanish and Mexican, we have the same, or we have something, when people are down on their spirits, spirit, get on with it. We all have to have that on the way right now, no matter what us. That's one thing. Let's pep it up a little bit. I know next week or next month, you folks are going to have the Democratic candidates for Congressional District 40. I am so sorry for you folks. Who are 40. Nothing against the candidates. But you'll remember before Prop 50, it was minimal. Like the way it was carved out, there could have been a much better chance to win. Then, of course, Newsom, ¿cómo se dice? I would say this. I was opposed to Proposition 50 on principle because I'm opposed to gerrymandering, but I voted for it because anything that pisses off Trump, I'm for basically. But, so we're gonna probably have 5 more Democratic seats, which is great, but sadly CD40 became the sacrificial lamb. And I still might do something, and I haven't written about it before, but my theory is that the reason CD40 became a sacrificial lamb is because all of these consultants heard Orange County, oh, that's Nixon land, oh, that's MAGA land, oh, that's Reagan land. Of course, Trump never won Orange County, and so that's my theory. And so sadly now, you have 3 candidates, Democratic candidates, and I don't endorse any candidates, ever. You don't want my endorsement, you'll lose, trust me. I endorsed twice, complete flop. You have 3 good candidates, but, and maybe another candidate, okay, these 3 of their candidates, but running up against 2 congressional incumbents who are going to duke themselves out, and probably because you have 3 other candidates move on into the general election. I'm not advocating for one of those candidates to drop out. It's not my place to do so, but I just find it sad in CD40. When they come next month, I would hope that all of you have very, very, very tough questions to them about what they're doing and about what is the future of CD40. You do not want, and also you want to talk about gerrymandering. Ted Calvert is from the Inland Empire. Young Kim is freaking Brad Diamond Bar. What the hell are they doing representing here? And nothing against you folks, but they're just completely like a boomerang. It is absolutely just like wild, and that's just sadly what CD40 has to deal with. But you don't want any of them to be your representatives. Young Kim made herself out to be more moderate, and not anymore. The only way she wins now is by being as MAGA as possible, and so shame on her. Absolute shame on her. And then Calvert, my God, look, 30-some years, career politician, pork on pork, all that stuff, just terrible. So please, next month, have hard questions. I also think, though, this is, what was it he said? All that. What's so funny about Spanish? It's okay. If I really was upset, I'd say something more insulting. I think also this kind of poses the eternal challenge that you folks have down here. People still don't think that there's Democrats down here. So basically a lot of your races in South Orange County are hard. I mean, we heard the gentleman JJ going up against Kate Sanchez. That's going to be a tough one. I'm not saying it's impossible, but sadly, it's far harder than, say, where I'm coming from in North Orange County. And I think a lot of that deception is basically, and this is, I'm placing it on you, but I'm also placing it on the citizens, but I'm also placing it on everyone else. We here in Orange County, we still live way too much in our bubbles. And we all live in bubbles, yes, but folks in South Orange County just don't know what's going on in North Orange County. We are not connecting. And I say this to all Democratic clubs, by the way. There needs to be more connections between all the Democratic clubs. And I'm not just talking about the chairwomen. I'm not just talking, all doing great jobs. I'm not talking just about the candidates, but the rank and file. You all have to volunteer for each other. All of you, yes, walk for here, but also walk for the races up in North Orange County, up in Central Orange County. Know the places. How many of you have been to Placentia in the last year? Raise your hand.
No, last year.
Good for you. How about Stanton?
Oh, I have been to Stanton.
Look, very, very, very minority. Again, all of you live lives that do not involve, having to care about all these communities. But really know those communities. The only way the Democrats win in Orange County is by supporting each other, especially in the areas that need it. And it's so, and those of you who have heard me speak to the Southland, South Orange County Women's Club of Orange County, I always mess up that name, but I said this to them, it is, I don't know if you want to call it ironic, tragic, but there's something there. That South Orange County, which of course is the wealthier part of Orange County, is so politically poor when it comes to Democrats, while the more working class areas of Orange County, Santana, Anaheim, they're way, way, way advanced. So in some ways it's incumbent upon the Democrats who have created their own movement, winning movements in Orange County, to come down here and teach you folks what they have done. And yes, they're completely different seats, but still it is important to do so. And it does take humility on both parts to say, we can learn, we don't know everything, we need to make those alliances, we need to drive, we need to do all of that stuff. Okay, so that's CD40. That's what else did I want? Oh, and then of course you have the supervisors race, Katrina Foley. Awesome, absolutely awesome. One of the 3 politicians that I've ever respected in my life. All of them women, by the way. Man, garbage. Patriarchy, right? But no, I will say this. I mean, Katrina, and Katrina's your supervisor, or is it Don Wagner?
We have both.
Well, okay, a little bit. Oh, Don Wagner. Oh, God. But he's hopefully in the minority. Hopefully in North Orange County, you get a progressive Democrat to finally have, what would that be at that point? 3-2, like a real majority, because no one say it. I always forget his name because that's how insignificant he is. No, who's the supervisor up in North Orange County? Doug Shaky, yes, Doug Shaky. Putative Democrat that has historically been the swing vote for the Republicans. But no, Katrina, Democrat, the Republicans have despised Katrina ever since she was giving them hell in Costa Mesa. Diane Dixon, I've talked to her, she's been okay, but she's coming from Newport Beach. She's gonna throw a lot of money at that. So that's one of the, nothing against the other races, but that is the race that South County really needs to pay attention to and secure to make sure that you folks win. So, is there any Katrina Foley volunteers here? Raise your hand. Talk to them. They have, right there you go. They have meet and greet, oh, there it is. They have tasks for you. They have homework for you. Make it happen. So, Katrina, we're almost 2 minutes before we unleash all questions. What was the other thing that I wanted to bring up here, folks? Oh, of course, immigration. And this is why I'm saying it is important to show up. I'm glad that there's a No Games rally. That is so important. All of you show up. Just to show you how much the tides have changed. My dad, and he never voted, he's conservative, but he never voted for Trump. He just thinks he's a fool, or as we say in Mexico, a pendejo. That is a lie, of course. But he's not political at all. He votes, he was undocumented for years, became an American citizen, always votes, has always voted like a good American should. One day, and also my brother, same thing. They're both more on the conservative side, but definitely more Democrat, definitely more conservative. That first No Kings rally last year, my brother shows up with his friends, high school basketball friends. I would have never imagined them in a million years to show up. That's how enraged they were. My dad, who's usually playing billiards at the senior center in Anaheim, my brother's like, hey, Dad was at the rally. I'm like, wait, what? So he shows up the next day. Yeah, someone gave him a sign that's telling off Trump. I'm hearing more and more of these stories. I am hearing from Republicans who voted for Trump and are disgusted with Trump. And yes, the cost of living is important, the terrible war that's going on is important, but the one issue that has really motivated people, at least in Southern California, has been immigration. But intelligent minds can disagree on how many immigrants we should allow in this country, whether we should give amnesty, who should we be deported. That's one thing. But what the Trump administration has been practicing is not that. You have had people deported who judges had issued orders they cannot be deported. You have had American citizens killed. You have had them messed around with. You have had caravans of cruelty going around this country in the form of the Border Patrol. They bit off, basically, let's call it what it was, or let's the attempt, a complete rejiggering of what it means to be an American. I've written about this as well. People like me, people like JJ, people whose parents came to this country or born elsewhere, are not real Americans. If your ancestors came here in the past 100 years, they're not real Americans. The only real Americans that count through this administration is so-called heritage Americans. Whatever the fuck that means. And we know what that means, and now I cuss. Yes, white, and not just white. What kind of white are we talking about? Exactly. So, all of you should be opposing this deportation of bias. And yes, it is quiet right now, because after Minneapolis, they realize we are losing so many people. Trump has told the GOP, do not talk about deportations until after the midterms. Latinos who voted for Trump in historic numbers in 2024, that's a whole conversation I'm willing to have. They have been hemorrhaging that support. So right now they're quiet. They're going to come back with a vengeance. They're going to hit South Orange County harder than they already have. And they have hit South Orange County. I see the videos. You all need to support the organizations that are fighting that good fight. And you could all sign up to fight that good fight. It's not just about showing up, so please do show up to No Kings. Please do go to canvassing and all of that, but connect with those immigrant rights organizations. They can use financial money or financial support. They could use supplies. They could just, at the very least, use, hey, I'll treat you folks to, here's dinner, here's a beer, whatever. Every little bit counts. That is one of the existential fights of the Trump regime, and we have to win that one, and we can win. Anyways, I can go on and on. You can applaud, you don't have to applaud. In South Orange County, not everyone's gonna agree with what I just said. It's just all what it is. But I guess you have to stand up there, go over there if you have any questions. Just go to that microphone as I vamp for a little bit. How about them Dodgers? Really? Did the USA, by the way, win in the World Baseball Classic today? They lost? They lost to Venezuela? Whoa!
Do you have to push it somewhere? Oh.
It was a good squad. The U.S. was a good squad. But, whoa. That's a cosmic, what can I tell you? All right, let's get to your questions.
I don't know if this is in your lane, but there was an article about how the media was going to get funded because, they haven't been getting funded. It's all been, the social media is stealing the media's articles, and that got overturned or cut way back. Can you, because I think that's a disaster. Can you comment on that, the direction that's going, what we can do to correct it?
So what she's talking about was it, last year, California passed a bill, the state legislature, and Gavin Newsom signed it, where social media companies had to basically pay a surcharge of sorts for basically making media irrelevant. That's the argument. That's the argument. So I think there was like $100 million contributed, and it was supposed to be doled out to different media organizations, including the Los Angeles Times, who were totally for it. And of course, it turned out, no, we're not going to be giving out, California saying we're not going to give out as much money as we said we were going to. I was always opposed to it. I think, yes, social media has definitely cut what used to be the primary moneymaker for especially the legacy media, which was classified ads. Remember those? Remember the penny saver? Exactly, that's for us old people. But I find it an excuse. Most media sadly has gone for the cheap clickbaits. We are not doing well-researched, long-researched stories. People still read those things. Like, I'll give you an example. I forgot to say this, just to show you that I kind of gave you the breadth of what I write about, but I also write about sports. What was it? 2024, at the very beginning, I was part of the team that broke crazy scandal where basically Shohei Ohtani's interpreter pled guilty to stealing millions of dollars from him for his gambling habits. I was part of that team. Everyone who cared about sports had to read the Los Angeles Times that day, including my cousins, who they love me, but they're not reading the Los Angeles Times because they don't read newspapers anymore. They listen to radio. Those podcasts and radio stations and television stations that they were listening to, they all said the Los Angeles Times, and then I started coming on those shows. So they'd call me up, like, hey Gus, and you can't call me Gus, but my cousins say, hey Gus, is it true everything you said about Shohei? I'm like, yeah, how did you find out about it? Oh, I heard about it. I'm like, well, are you going to read the story? He's like, well, it says I have to become a subscriber. Can you do a cousin hookup? I'm like, no. So my cousins had to become LA subscribers to read. But that's the thing. If you write stories that are must-reads, you don't need no government funding. And this is, by the way, mostly for for-profit and non-profit news organizations. Non-profit is a whole other thing. So how do you support this? Subscribe to newspapers. Sadly, the Orange County Register is a shell of itself, and it was never really much to begin with. The Voice of OC is a good newspaper. It's true. The Voice of OC is a good nonprofit news agency. I'd ask you all to subscribe to the Los Angeles Times, but we barely cover Orange County. That's true. Trust me, I told my bosses all the time, you can come from Orange County, and I still live here, I'll never leave. I mostly cover Los Angeles now, so we just need more coverage. And if you don't write stories that do not interest people, well, don't be surprised if they're not going to subscribe. That's what I would say. If you want to care, or if you want to support a good media ecosystem, I guarantee you there's a publication for you that will be glad to have your financial support.
Hi, Gus. I'm Marian.
Gus?
Gustavo. I'm a fan of your column. I enjoy it very much.
Thank you.
I've been reading a lot about some commotion that's going on with our treasurer in Orange County here. And I understand that they've got a volatile work environment going on there, and the supervisors had to enter in and make some decisions recently. Can you tell us more?
That's Sherry Frederickson, right?
Yes.
Yes. I honestly do not know too much about that. I know that the Voice of OC has been behind a lot of that coverage, so I would check in with them. I mean, look, we talk about county-wide elected positions. We have here the prosecutor who's running for judge, and he seems like one of the good ones. I'm not going to ask him an uncomfortable question, but maybe I'll tell him in person, he can tell me afterwards. But, I mean, this is still a land where county-wide positions are still overwhelmingly held by Republicans. Spencer's a Republican. Hugh Wynn, the clerk, is he clerk reporter now? He replaced Daley? Yes? Someone said that. Hugh Wynn is a Republican, Sherry's a Republican. A lot of that stuff, we need to find people who could run for countywide office and take those positions. I also, though, I do not assign partisan, I do not assign corruption to partisan trends. The most uncomfortable audience I ever spoke in front of was actually Democrats. Long time ago, right after Mike Corona, the former sheriff got indicted, totally corrupt sheriff Mike Corona, and all the Democrats were all happy and all that. So I started talking about there's so many corrupt people, and this and that. I was talking about the 1970s in Orange County. Some of you remember that when the era that Bob's from before that, but the era of now I'm blanking on names, Ron Casper and all those people. Corrupt, and it was all Democrats. But Democrats used to have, used to be a majority of the board of supervisors, used to be Congress members, and because of all that corruption that happened in the 70s, because the doctor, Robert, was it CENA, I think? No, I'll remember. Sema? Yes, no, you got it right, we went down a dark path, and then the Republicans released it over. So, I can't speak very much, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. We need 50 people in office. Someone run for office. Okay.
Hi. Wondering if you'd care to comment on the Democratic side of the gubernatorial race. We've got 8 candidates, and most of them are polling in single digits and ought to get out. And 2 of them have taken to implying that the California Democratic Party is racist in this effort. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I wrote a column about that. We're gonna have breaking news. There's going to be a poll release tomorrow. I'm not going to say by who.
Oh.
Steve Hilton is in first place with 17%, which we're not surprised by, because all the Republican base is coalescing against him or around him. Second place, Chad Bianco at 16%. I know. Sheriff of Riverside County, former oathkeeper. Third place, Tom Steyer at 13%. I'm with you, by the way. And then after that, a whole bunch of stuff. So that Democratic, and then I think 16% undecided. So people are choosing their sides, and the Democrats, as usual, are doing the Democratic Party, not the Democrats, the leaders, are doing a circular firing squad. I love it. I think the more candidates, the merrier. I think if the Republicans, I do not want Republicans to win, but the only people we should be blaming is a Democratic Party leadership that gave us such flawed candidates who, in a state like California, that the plurality of the population is Latino, we have no Latinos who actually stand a chance, no people of color. So some people might cringe at the idea that the Democratic Party, allegations that the Democratic Party leadership is racist, but what else do you want to call it? I'm sorry, Tom Steyer, I do not want a billionaire running our states. I am fundamentally, no matter how cool he might be, no matter how bodacious his ass might be, and he might be a nice guy and all that, but how is the Democratic Party, which is supposed to be the party of the people, cool with a billionaire running? I'm sorry, in LA, they ridiculed Rick Caruso for running, but the rest of the state, or the state Democratic leadership, doesn't seem to have a problem with that. And then after that, I'm not going to make any more commentary on the other candidates, but it is what it is. I still don't think it's going to happen. I think you'll see some candidates drop out and then start coalescing against one of the top 3. I think one of them will be, because the Republicans are sort of reaching a ceiling. You're not going to get higher than that, so all you need is someone, at least the Democrats, getting 25% or whatever. And then if that happens, then of course no Republican's going to be able to win California. But if both of them do, I'm sorry, it's kind of poetic justice, and I'm not going to be crying about it. Sorry, not sorry. One person clap. Thank you.
I want to go back to Laguna Hills and want to ask you if you can recommend your top restaurants in Laguna Hills.
You got to go to Mercado Corona, of course. Classic, it's called Mercado Corona, but it really serves all of the Latino communities. So you have South American products there. You have, Central American. The food is mostly like taqueria, mostly Mexican stuff. But been there for 30 years at this point. It's been there for a while. So is La Rana still in Laguna Hills? The Mexican restaurant, the broad, yeah, someone say yes. La Rana, just classic Mexican food. I once hung out with members of Tapestry, which is the Universalist, Unitarian Universalist congregation in Mission Viejo. It was sort of an option to hang out with Gustavo, and people paid for some reason. And so we have really, really good Mexican food. That's number 2. And then the third one, is an Italian restaurant by name, but it's actually Argentinian.
Oh, Villa Roma.
Villa Roma, yes, classic, everyone knows it. You see, I know my stuff, I still know it, even though I'm not a food critic anymore. But yeah, Villa Roma, La Rana, Mercado Corona, those alone are really, really good, legitimate spots. And there's a couple of others out there, but if I'm eating Laguna Hills, I'm going to one of those 3 spots. There you go. Any more questions, because we're almost out of time. One more, and then by the way, even though I do have to write a column, this all came before my commitment to you folks, so I will stay here as long as you folks want to talk to me individually. I could write fast anyway, and also have, what do you call it? Not Siri, but I can voice record myself, do a column like that. I promise not to text. Okay, I got it. All the way home. Yeah, no, I literally driving up, I read the first quarter of it. I've now thought of some things. Driving back up, I'll be another quarter, then I get to put everything together. I have a probably 8 a.m. deadline. I'm gonna make it happen. Question?
I think you're not giving, especially Canyon Dams, enough credit. We helped turn South Orange County blue.
I love it.
This club really went out. Yeah, Levin, Katie Porter, Mike, Dave Mint, yeah. So I kind of, we don't really need to learn from North Orange County as much as maybe
Let's go down to your local city council race. Tell me how many of those are Debs.
Yeah. Well, okay, good point. Good, but I was talking about the feds. But yeah, okay.
No, I appreciate it. No, thank you for correcting me. Yes, I remember Mike Levin when he never got drunk, but he enjoyed a good cocktail at a former event called Drinking Liberally at the old Memphis at the Santorin downtown Santana. And he was a cool guy, always a cool guy. When I saw that he was running for office, I'm like, him? Really? Like, that's cool. Like, not surprised, like, what the hell? And then when he won, it's like, and like, he probably won't remember me from those days, but it made me very proud that he's now been there since 2018. No one's unbeatable, but he's pretty damn close. And yes, he is the pride of South Orange County. That makes me so happy. But do not ever rest on your laurels. Maybe it's a Catholic in me, but don't really praise yourself. You can always do better, and more importantly, especially in this Lenten season, you can always help out other people, and you can always be helped as well. So thank you so much, folks. I appreciate it. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you. That was great, as always. I look forward to the next article, right?
Oh, yeah. We'll do it tomorrow morning.
Oh, tomorrow? Oh, really? Already?
If you read,
No,
the print edition,
I do. I get
you'll the
both.
front page.
Oh, on the front
First,
page.
The
Okay.
next column, that'll come out online tomorrow, and then it'll come out in print.
Yeah, I get it online and I get it at my doorstep. Yeah, there's just something about opening it up. Yeah. Yeah.
Tony and I are gonna. What's up, politics?
Us lunch at the literature party for the Young Canyon Dems.
At the okay. So we got that all taken care of.
Yeah. Mike said that you're buying us lunch.
Oh yeah, whatever. Yeah, whenever you.